Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Which language do you prefer? You prefer English or you prefer in Malay? What is that? Both. Mix. All right. I have no plan to deliver a talk. Actually, basically, the topic that earlier given to me is about the authenticity of Quran, and I believe that most of you here, you study here, you already know about it. But if I were to present that topic, it will be just a revision for you. But instead of talking that topic, I think why don't we have Q&D? Have you heard about Q&D? No, you heard Q&A only, right? Question and answer. No, Q&D means question and discussion. It's between you and me. All right, and I would love if you can ask me question about da'wah, about rivers, and whatever issue you like to know. I think I will do my best to reply your question, inshallah. So now, before I open for you to ask questions, first we need to understand that Islam is the most misunderstood religion in the face of the earth. Not only the majority, the non-Muslim have misunderstood about Islam. We have some Muslim today also that's misunderstood about Islam. Now, how can so many misconceptions arise? Where do we get all these misconceptions from? Actually, there are many reasons that contribute to this misconception. Number one, media. Social media playing a huge important role that which contribute to this misconception. Number two, Islam and local culture has already mixed up. Sometimes up to the level that we Muslim, we cannot differentiate which one is Islam, which one is the culture. Number three, we have a lot of learned scholars or ustads. Many a time they speak outside of their expertise. They talk something about Islam, but it's not their expertise. That this also contribute a huge amount of misconception. Number four, if you were to look at what happened in the world today, the non-Muslim, when they judge Islam, are they judge Islam by looking at the source, or they judge Islam by looking at the followers? Yeah, this is a problem today. Now, in fact, not only Islam, you judge whatever religion in the world today, we're supposed to look at the teaching of the scriptures, not the followers, because the followers have the choice whether to obey or to disobey the teaching. But unfortunately, this is a reality in the world today. Non-Muslims are judge Islam by looking at the followers, mean the Muslim, but not looking at the Quran and the Sunnah. Can you see this circle? Nampak tak? Tak nampak. Tak nampak, sudah dekat. You are close. No, just joking. Now, one circle and two circles here. Now, these both circles actually overlap each other, just a little bit. If you look at circle at the left, it's referring to the non-Muslim. Circle at the right is referring to the Muslim. And the overlap are those non-Muslim interact with the Muslim. Usually a very small amount of people, a small amount. Agree? Now, let's talk about the circle at the right side. We Muslim. We have a lot of learned. We have mufti, we have ulama, we have ustad, we have ustazah, many learned Islam. The question here is that these learned Muslim, they are the most qualified person to deliver message of Islam to the non-Muslim, because they have sound knowledge, they have great knowledge. But my question here is that those learned, okay, are they close to the non-Muslim, or they are very far from non-Muslim? Quite far. What happened now? When the non-Muslims have questions about Islam, who do they ask? The learned or the common Muslim? So the common Muslim, they are not qualified, they are not learned, they are not expert in Islam. So when they answer, when they reply, They are making the non-Muslim convinced. They are making non-Muslim convinced about Islam or confused about Islam. So these are some of the reason that which contribute to misconception. Maybe what I would do is that how many any one of you here would like to start first? Would like to ask any question from the non-Muslim? Wow, we have our moderator. Please.
My question is, how do you approach the non-Muslim while you're doing da'wah, and how do you overcome that thing?
How do I approach the non-Muslim while I'm doing da'wah? This is very general. What I will do is we break the non-Muslim into two simple groups. One, those who have certain belief. The other one is those who atheists, those who rejecting the existence of God. So we separate these two groups. For the non-Muslim, if in order for you to do da'wah to them or give da'wah to them, you have to learn is how to make friends with them. Only when they are comfortable with you, they like to make friends with you. They will go out with you to go for some activities. And they invite you to their house. Once they are close to you, then they only will open up to ask about Islam or talk about religion. Once they understand your attitude, your behavior, that you are open-minded, you are okay even if they were to ask sensitive questions. And for the non-Muslim, they are so worried about asking questions about Islam. They realize that the Muslims are very sensitive, very irrational. So this is one of the reasons. Now, you go direct to the questions. How do I approach them? What should I talk to them? Now, one of the things that normally I will do is with non-Muslim, I will go directly to Aqidah. Instead of talking about your religion, my religion, interpret your scripture, my scripture, blah, blah, blah. This one take a long time. The non-Muslim not always, they don't have time for you every time we talk for hours about this issue. So they'll probably give you 15 minutes to half an hour. So make sure that during that short period, okay, you deliver the message of Aqidah to them. Normally what I will do is, I will discuss with them about CVC. I believe that none of you have heard about this. CVC means it's a technique of delivering message of Islam to the non-Muslim. Call it creator versus creation. Majority the non-Muslim, okay, in Malaysia, they have certain belief, generally. True? Now, when you talk about religion, most of them have religion. When you talk about religion, what is the main focus about religion? Is to believe in God. They want to worship God and they want to do good. True? So in Islam, just a little bit different. In Islam, before you worship God and do good, the first thing you need to do is must be able to differentiate who is God, who is not God, who is divine, who is not divine, who is the creator, who are the creation. You must be able to differentiate first. So normally I will ask the non-Muslim friends, do you believe in God? They say yes. I say, me too. What is your opinion about this universe? Do you think it is God or is God's creation? Most of them was those Christians, Christian, the Jew, Sikhism, Sikh people, as well as this Baha'i, they will say creation. But for those Buddhism, Taoism and so on, they will say it's not God. Doesn't matter. Meaning that they believe that there's God, they believe universe, a creator, their creation. So I'm using the word creator, creation. You can just change it, no problem. Now, I will tell them that I believe the same thing like you. But the moment I ask them, do you have any idea how to differentiate who is God, who is not God? Who is the creator, who are the creation? Is there any idea? And believe me, the non-Muslim have no idea. If they know how to differentiate, if they can differentiate, they will not commit shirk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They will not worship the creation, simply because of the religion doesn't teach them this. So I will ask them, do you think it is important that to be able to differentiate? They say yes. Any idea? No. And let's discuss. So I put the word creator, creation. Then I will ask them the first question. If I were to put the word ever living here, who do you think is ever living? The creator or the creation? They will say creator or God is ever living. Creation is not ever living. You boleh faham tak saya cakap? Boleh ya? Can you answer me if I were to ask the question so that it's easy for me to have a better flow of discussion? Now when you talk ever living, the creator is ever living, the creation is not ever living. The moment you ask him, can you give me some example that is not ever living, things that which not ever living? They will tell you human. What else? Animals, plant, anything that have life in this dunya, in this earth, none of them is ever living. Then I will tell him, brother, I agree with you 100%. Let's put the second questions. I put the words beginning and ending. Which one have beginning, ending? Creator or creation? Creation. What about creator? No beginning, no ending. Right? So when you talk about creation is ever, it's not, it have beginning, ending. Ask him to give example. They repeat the same thing that I asked earlier. If you don't, do you notice something or not? I'm not asking him to believe. I'm just asking the questions. And he is the one who gives the answer. The third one, time, space and mass. Between creator and creation, which one is bounded by time, space and mass? Which one is fall into time, space and mass? The creation. What about the creator? It's not bounded by time, space and mass. Number 4, independent. Or use the word sustenance. Which one independent? Doesn't depend on anything. It doesn't need the sunlight, doesn't need the oxygen, doesn't need food and drink. Which one? The creator is independent. The creation? No. We need sustenance. We need sunlight, oxygen, food and drinks. We need, the creation need. Last one, rest and sleep. Do you think the creator need to rest and sleep? No. The creation? Yes. Now, when after he answered these questions, you know, we've interviewed hundreds of non-Muslims. They will give the correct answer. The creator is ever living, no beginning, ending, doesn't bounded by time, space and mass, doesn't need sustenance, doesn't rest and sleep. And the creation is just opposite. Now I asked him, actually, I believe exactly what you believe. But the moment I asked him, there's so many gods out there, right? So many gods that people worship. Can you give me a name? A god that people worship have these 5 characteristics. You know normally what answer he will give? All of them I interview, they will say, no one. When they say no one means what? All the gods that the people worship, he said none of them have this 5 characteristic, godly characteristic. In other words, when he said no means, he is telling you that none of these gods that people worship have this 5 characteristic. Indirectly, he already confessed La ilaha. He rejects everything now. But if God created us, do you think that he will program us to know him? The question I asked him, he's replying my question just now, that is fitrah. I'm not talking about religion, I'm asking questions. Fitrah. As long as his fitrah is not corrupted, he will be able to give the correct answer. Once the fitrah is corrupted, then he will have problem with this. But if God created us, do you think that he will program us to know him? Definitely. I'm sure our brother, you married, right? You have wife and you have children, right? Will you program your children to call you father? Program your children to call your wife mother? Definitely. This is natural. So when God created us, do you think he will program us? Yes. That's the reason why they'll be able to give the right answer. And this right answer is reminding him that that is the characteristic of God. Do you think that God will continue to remind us? That's the reason why God sent prophet and sent the scripture to guide us to know him, to go back to him. Is there any scripture in the world today that you know that they tell you about the God that they worship have these 5 characteristics. You can't find anyone except in the Quran. It's mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter number 2, verse 255. And Ayatul Kursi. This ayat is so special for me. Why? Because this ayat is touchstone of theology. You want to know who is God, who is not God? This is the ayat. See, just now when I asked them, is there any God have this characteristic? They say no. They already confess La ilaha, La ilaha. But the moment I show them Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 255, if they can accept this ayat, illallah. Just now I told you, this is a touchstone of theology. Creator, creation. The 5 points just now, right? We start to put the first person up here, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam ever living? No. Therefore, he falls into the category of creation. Does he have beginning, ending? Creation. Bounded by time, space, and mass. Creation. Is he independent? Does he need sustenance? Yes. Creation. Does he rest and sleep? Yes. Creation. So Prophet Muhammad SAW, do you think that he have the characteristic of God? No at all. No at all. You can put Siddhartha Gautama Buddha. Just put one by one all the God that people worship. I make the story short, he will fall into the category of creation. Even you put Jesus Christ, will fall into the category of creation. So you put everything in this dunya, in this universe, will fall into the category of creation. Then I will ask him, which one do you like to worship, the creator or creation? All of them say creator. Would you like to worship the creation? They say no. You translate to Arabic language, La ilaha illallah. This is how I give da'wah to non-Muslim, in brief. Hope answer your question, brother. Any other questions? Boleh cakap Melayu ya?
Saya nak tanya tentang pengalaman Tuan sebagai seorang pendakwah. Apa yang Tuan hadapi. Dan satu lagi saya nak tanya, saya sebagai seorang Muslim, saya memang tertarik untuk nak berdakwah kepada orang yang bukan Muslim. Tapi bagaimana apa yang saya perlu buat untuk nak dapatkan peluang ni sebagai untuk berdakwah kepada orang Islam.
Nak jawab Melayu ke orang putih? Cakap Melayu. Okay. Huh? English okay? Okay. Let me repeat your question first. Our brother, he would love to give da'wah to non-Muslim, but he want to know how to start, right? So that how can he be part of the da'is, doing da'wah to non-Muslim? Now, the first thing is that are you sure that you want to give da'wah to non-Muslim? So you must have certain verses in the Quran or the Sunnah that it becomes the motivation for you that you want to give da'wah to non-Muslim. Alright? That's number one. Number two, when you want to give da'wah to non-Muslim, how to start is you must start attending classes, courses, discussion, and the best thing is you can join an expert, so you follow him wherever he go. You go for on-the-job training, because on-the-job training, it is the fastest way for you to learn. You know why? You say, if I were to give da'wah to non-Muslim, you're sitting next to me, I talk everything, give da'wah everything, and done. After this person go home, I will discuss with you, do post-mortem. Do you know why I say this? Do you know why I don't use this ayat? We know why I don't give this example, blah 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 blah. Now you get an idea. Then the second case, third cases. After you were with me for 20 cases, do you think you have idea how to give da'wah to non-Muslim? Many a time we have the intention, but we do not know the right way of doing da'wah. Our da'wah is always, I would say that our approach is always wrong, our technique is always wrong, therefore our da'wah is always failed. The non-Muslim, they are not interested to talk to us because we do not know how to talk. So I understand. That's the only thing that I can say to you is the best way is you attend courses to increase your understanding, knowledge first. The technique is on the job training. If you can do that in just a short period, you'll be able to give da'wah to non-Muslim just like that. It's very easy. Because there are certain script that you need to memorize. There are certain techniques that you need to memorize. Then when you meet the non-Muslim, you'll be able to deliver. Our biggest problem is what? We have the best product. That's the Quran and the Sunnah. Can you agree? But we have the lousiest salesman. Sorry to say that. Sorry to use the word lousiest. Why I say that? You look at the statistic of Banci 2010, 2010. In Malaysia, we have Muslim, 18 million Muslim. We have 7 million Chinese non-Muslim. Chinese, 7 million. But the Chinese embrace Islam, only 42,000. The Chinese embrace Christianity, 700,000. In other words, 1% embrace Islam, 16% embrace Christianity. We lost 16-1. You don't feel anything? I feel so embarrassed when I talk about this. 16-1. In Christian country or in Islam country, Muslim country, Islamic country? In our country, we lost 16-1 in our ground. And the Muslim is majority or they are majority? Again, we are majority. In our country, we majority. And we lost 16-1. And the worst thing is not these two. The worst thing is the truth lost to falsehood. The Tawheed lost to Shirk. Why? Because most of us, we don't learn the skill of giving da'wah, how to deliver the message. You know, for example, if this is a program with a non-Muslim, if this is a program, you have a program party or gathering with a non-Muslim. Okay, if the non-Muslim invite us to come on the stage and to deliver Islam for 10 minutes, they say that, you know, we have been living in Malaysia for some time. Until today, we have no idea what Islam is all about. Can you share 10 minutes about Islam to us? How many of you here, you think you have any idea what to talk? Are you ready? Are you prepared what to talk? Believe me, most of us, if you come out to the stage, you are finished. Our mind is blank. We do not know what to talk. We are not ready. We have the best product. Lousy salesman. So this is our problem. So if you want to do da'wah, give da'wah to non-Muslim, you have to learn. Look for the expert, learn. Attend classes, training, discussion, and always record when you present certain things to someone with a non-Muslim, record it, get the teacher to go through it. Now, is it correct? I deliver this way, or this is wrong, or the answer that I give, is it correct? So you need to always polish yourself until you become very good. That's the only way. But unfortunately, most of the Muslim is that we are not willing to go through you need to go through what is needed for you to be a da'i. But unfortunately, these are the things that happen. Yeah, if I were to ask you to come, you will give me all kind of excuses. True? Come to KL and learn. I'll train you. Very far, Brother Lim. True. Don't worry. For those who say far, don't worry. Don't worry, never worry. Next time, if I were to conduct classes in front of your house, I will inform you. Imam Malik rahmatullah say, if you want knowledge, you come. Ilmu didatangi bukan mendatangi. If you want, you come and learn. But if you want to wait the knowledge come to you, it will never happen. Believe me, it will never happen. Wallahu alam. Any other questions? Yep.
So, I would like to ask you whether you have any experience in giving da'wah to atheists or agnostic people. And if you do, I hope you would mind sharing with us. To what extent your experience, have you experienced in giving da'wah to those people? And because you said this is a Q&A, I hope you don't mind if I have another follow-up question after you answer.
Okay, no problem. Thank you so much, brother. Let me repeat your questions. That do I have any experience doing da'wah to the atheists? Right? Yeah, I do have some. First, you must understand atheists too. Which group are you referring to? There are 3 groups of atheists. 1, communist country. There's no religion. 2, Theravada Buddhism. No religion. 3, the atheists that in the West, where they have certain argument why I reject the existence of God. It's not, the atheist is not the group that don't believe in God. They rejecting the existence of God. Now, how to give da'wah to them? 2 ways. 1, remember creation just now? When I talk to some of my atheist friends, they say, Brother Lim, I don't believe creator, I don't believe universe is a creation. I say, no problem, I know that. I say, is it possible that for the discussion purposes, just assume that you believe? Assume. For discussion purposes. And he said, okay. But when I ask him everything, he gives the correct answer. Actually, indirectly, is reminding him. Number 2, I will use this the approach that the scientist discovery, meaning that the greatest discovery by the modern scientists in the 20th century. This discovery is so direct to the atheists. Okay, what the scientists discover? They discover that the universe that we're living in today is expanding steadily. Okay, now this is a fact today. It's not a theory or hypothesis. That's why they call it the greatest discovery. Stephen Hawking, he do reverse study. If you read his book, The Brief History of Time, he do reverse study. Kembali kepada masa. When you reverse the time, the universe is shrinking. You reverse the time, shrinking. And the universe will shrink up to a point of singularity. Okay? Now, what the scientists discover is that they discover that the universe that we're living in today, that is a beginning. Not beginning, it's beginning. And that's the beginning of the universe. Now, you have to talk to the atheists. This is a scientific discovery. Do they agree? They agree, we talk about it. If they agree, now we ask him, how can this point of singularity come to existence? Is he created out of nothing? Hello? Or he create himself? Or he is the creator of the universe? Which one? None of it. Now, if you know what, it's a long story to explain, because you know the point of singularity itself, it depends of, it is dependent. He depends on amino acid. It depends on hundreds of amino acid. When he is dependent, can he create himself? No. It's just like your existence depends on your parents. True? Without your parents, you will never exist in this dunya. So if you are dependent on parents, can you create yourself? Can you create it out of nothing? No. Are you the creator of the universe? No. So all these 3 are no. If you were to read the verse in the Quran, in fact the verse in the Quran talk about this. Talk about this point of singularity. Okay? Surah 2, chapter 52, verse number 35. You read 36, 37, 38 and just move on. And Allah is asking this. Okay? Now if these three is no, and then how can this point of singularity come to existence? Ask the atheist. You agree with this one? How can this come to existence? So the only explanation is that this point of singularity was created out of nothing. Bahasa Melayu dia cipta daripada tanpa apa-apa. Sebab tu manusia tak boleh digelar sebagai pencipta. Manusia hanya boleh digelar sebagai reka cipta. Kita memerlukan sesuatu untuk mencipta sesuatu. Human being, he needs something to create something. Whereas the creator, he need nothing to create something. Okay? So make the story short, this universe was created. But when you study physics, the universe that we have today, it comes together with time, space and mass. Which means when creator created the universe, it comes together with time, space and mass. But before the universe was created, before the universe was created, do we have time, space, and mass? No. But does the creator exist? Yes. In other words, the true creator who created the whole universe, he himself is outside the flow of time, space, and mass. And you look at the God that people worship, most of them are bounded by time, space, and mass. Science tells us that those who are bounded by time, space, and mass, they are creation, they can never be creator. You remember you studied physics? Everything in this universe, that physical, all of them are bounded by time, space, and mass. In other words, everything in this dunya, when you're bounded by time, space, and mass, you can never be creator. Why? Because you're bounded by time. You cannot know what's going to happen tomorrow. So how can you say creator? Which is why that's the reason why we say creator know everything. Why? Because it's not bounded by time, space, and mass. So this is an approach that usually I will just, so the time short, I will give you this answer. If you need more answer, we have another discussion. You want to follow up with your next question?
I'll come back to you later.
All right, later. Okay, anybody else want to have question for me? Okay, moderator, go ahead.
I'd like to ask a question because we are regarding about that one. So, you are a counselor for the Mu'allaf people. Then you get the cases that when Mu'allaf went to go to the back into their own religion, they enter Islam first, and then they go back to their own religion. How do you deal with that thing?
They already went back to the old religion, or they are trying to go back to the old religion? Which one? Be specific so that easy for me to provide you the answer.
They want to go back to their own
They want to
religion.
go back. Okay. Now, let me repeat the questions. We have new Muslim. I use the word new Muslim, or you use the word here, mu'alaf. Yeah, in Philippines, they call it balik Islam. In Philippines, the language that they use. Okay. Now, sometimes, some of them, after a while, they want to return back to the old religion. Right? Now, how are we going to deal with this issue? Number one, actually, everything starts from the very beginning. When this person have interest to embrace Islam, we don't deal it properly. This is number one, the biggest problem for us, because we are focused so much on getting the person to take Shahada. We are not focused much on how to build the Aqidah, how to make this person understand Islam. Do you notice this? This is a common thing happen in Malaysia. We are so focused about Shahada. Come, take photo. Now, and many a time, many of them, because they embrace Islam simply because they fall in love with someone. They fall in love with someone. Now, when they fall in love with someone, okay, is there anything wrong when you want to embrace Islam because you fall in love? There's nothing wrong in Islam. There's nothing wrong. But the only problem is that if you never asked him and also the future spouse to come together to attend classes and learn until they understand it, they embrace the religion with understanding, then only you bring the person to Shahada. Today, we are not doing all these things. As long as you say, I believe in one God. Sometimes because of love, I don't care, man. You ask me to read, I read. So I sign. But I don't even know what it's all about. Now, it becomes unfair to himself, to the future wife, to the future children. Why? You see, if he embraces Islam because of marriage, he has no intention to learn and practice the religion. What will happen after that? Initially, it's good. Once you got married, it's very beautiful because you have tasted the sweetness of Iman. You don't understand, never mind. No, it's not fair to you, to your future wife. Why I say that? Because once you got married, you're supposed to be the leader in the family to guide your wife and children. And you do not know about the religion. You don't learn, you don't practice. When it comes to Ramadan, before Shawwal, before Raya, you definitely have to go back to your in-law house, right? Your wife is a Malay, so go back to your in-law house. Everyone are fasting, praying 5 times a day, perform the Tarawih. You do nothing. You don't do anything. What will happen? People start to talk. You don't feel comfortable after when you hurt. Next year, you tell your wife, you go back first. I think I have something important. Because you don't feel comfortable. Because you do not know how to pray. For example, now what will happen if you divorce? Do you think this guy is going to be responsible towards the children? Now, we have too many cases that divorce is so high. It's a huge amount of people divorce. Simply because we do not focus on understanding the religion, focus on Aqidah. We focus on Shahadah. This is a problem. So people like that, brother, always remember, you have to find way to be close to the person. Close. Until, don't need to talk about religion. Just go makan and drinking and food and fishing. Find some activities. Until that person treat you like a friend. And then you find ways to influence this person. Like for example, like I'm here today, for example. If you know that rivers, okay, what you need to do? You tell him, hey, can you accompany me? I have something here, but for a while after that we go for food. Just bring him here. Let him sit down. Okay? And then before that you must inform me, Lim, I have someone like this. So you please talk something that which can actually convince him. Can you understand this? So there are many ways that you can do to actually, okay, to bring him back to Islam. Sometimes because he disappointed with a partner or spouse. Sometimes he disappointed with a Muslim. But because of he didn't learn about Islam, we never focus about the Aqidah. There's no Aqidah. So this is the things. If they understand the Aqidah, believe me, even though he divorced, even though he didn't marry that lady, he will not have any problem. They will say that, many of them attended my class. After months of attending my class, they come and tell me, Brother Lim, if I don't marry this lady, I have no problem. Why? Because he understand the Aqidah of Islam, understand the Islam, the essence of Islam. Now today, most of them, they never learn. They never go for classes. And we don't have people that who know how to teach the rivets. This is a problem. Learning the technique of teaching the rivet is totally different from teaching the born Muslim. Born Muslim, you tell them whatever thing, they will just accept. But no, not the rivets. The rivet will ask why, how come. They will keep asking questions. And they will put their problem to you. They will put their question to you. So, yeah. I hope I answer your question, brother. Anybody else? All of you are waiting for your Salat Isha? Okay, please. Come.
It's nice about scientific. Say what if the atheist ask about something like possible, like very great. Let's say I'm an atheist and I ask you a question about, am I supposed to believe that Muhammad is riding a flying horse through the sky? Am I supposed to believe that Allah raised Jesus Christ above the sky? How do you question?
Okay, so our brother asked very. Usually these are the learned, those who do some studies or do some research about Islam. So they have the questions. You see, every religion, they have certain belief that called guide, that is unseen thing that where we cannot explain with our physical world today. All right, that's number one. So what you need to do is, for me, before I answer that questions, I will first establish the first thing, that to prove to this person that the Quran is beyond doubt is the words of Allah. Once he accepts the Quran is the words of Allah, then believing in those message, you will not have any problem anymore. Can you understand this? Now, when you say that you include Jesus Christ, that's all right. You talk about Islamic message or Christian message? You're referring to Islamic message about Jesus, or you're talking about Jesus Christ in Christianity? He's ascended to heaven. Which one? Islam. You see, as I said earlier, that every religion, they have their certain belief called guide. That, of course, I can't physically prove to you anything. No, definitely I can't do that. Okay? Because it's guide. Like we believe in angels. Have you seen the angels? No, then we believe that, right? And the angels bring down the revelation to Muhammad SAW. And we believe that. So in Islam, we have something called Rukun Iman, the article of faith. That's things that we believe. Clear? And if you can prove the Quran beyond doubt, but it takes times for me to explain the Quran beyond doubt, there are two important points you need to prove is that, number one, Quran never gone through any corruption, any changes. Okay? And number two, the elimination process. If you can prove these two things to them, they will start to believe that the Quran is the words of God. And if they were to ask you, there's so many scripture, how can you be sure yours one is from God, others is not? How you put down all the scripture here? You just got to do some comparison, simple comparison. If the scripture is from God, condition number one, they must survive history. Must not gone through any corruption, any changes. They have the original copy. You know original? Be careful. If you go to shopping mall to buy things, if they tell you original, you have to be careful. Because I was cheated once. They say original, the Chinese guy, and they pronounce, the pronunciation is terrible. So I thought it's original, so I bought it. But when I go home, I check again. Oh, this is actually not original. It's original. Original from China. For any scripture claimed to be God, it must be what? It must survive history. You must have the original copy. Now, if you put all the scripture in front of you, all the religious scripture, which scripture have the original scriptures? The Quran we have. The rest of the scripture, sorry, most of them they don't have the original scripture. Number two, the language of the scripture survive. Survive? Most of the scriptures in the world today, the language is already die or dying. But the language of the Quran, is it survive? People speak about it. People study in university, in colleges. People write. People memorize. But whereas most of the religious scriptures, they are already, I would say that, disappeared, the language. I mean, the people don't speak anymore. People don't write anymore. Even if I can produce the original scripture to them, they can't even do anything. Right? They can't even read. They can't even understand. So, the language is alive. Most of it is either die or dying. Number three, the scripture must be written. It was recorded during the time of the founder. Quran, was written and memorized in front of the founder? Muhammad SAW? Yes. The rest of the scripture is either was written, there's one scripture that was compiled 360 years later. Yeah. Another scripture was written 500 years later, after the founder, and so on and so forth. So all of them is not written during the founder. Sorry. Number four, if the scripture is from the God, the Creator, the message must be survive history. It must survive history and be in relevance. The time of the Prophet Muhammad SAW, today and even until the Judgment Day, it must be relevant. I used to participate in forum with other religion, and most of the religion, when we talk about certain issue, they can only talk about, in my religion we believe in this, we believe in that, but they cannot tell you which the scripture mentioned, which chapter, which verse. They can't show it to you. Why? Because it's not mentioned in scripture, most of it. Unlike in Islam, when we talk about Islam, I'll give you chapter number, verse number, or hadith, in which hadith, Bukhari, Muslim, Dawud, Tirmidhi, and so on, and I will tell you the number of the hadith. And it's mentioned in the scripture. It's called relevance, the teaching. And just give you another one or two important one, is that the message of the scriptures, is supposed to reveal as a guidance for mankind. The message must be guidance for mankind to solve our human solution in this dunya. In Islam, when you talk about this, Islam guided us about issue of mu'amalat in great detail. In great detail. Even when you go to toilet, Islam teaches us what to do. You need to clean yourself before you come out from the toilet, and the rest of the things. And the most important thing is Islam is the only religion in the face of the earth that teaches us how to differentiate who is God, who is not God. In other words, like there are a lot of things in Islam that guide that we cannot talk, we cannot explain. Just like how can you be sure heaven and the earth exist? Can I bring you? Even if you go back, even if you have chance to visit the heaven and the earth, you come back here, you tell people that you've been there, is there anybody who will believe you? No, right? So there are things that we can only use external evidence to explain about this. Meaning that if I can't show it to you how this thing happened, but I can prove to you that the Quran beyond doubt is the words of Allah. It's just like how to prove heaven and hell exists. I can't bring you there. No, I can have anyone who already been there and show it to you. So what I do is I use the external evidence to prove it to you. I don't have time for this, but hope answer your question. Wallahu alam. How much time do we have? You see, time's up.
We got the last question.
Okay, last question.
Is it in the book of Psalms, chapter number 84, verse number 4 to 7? It's referred to Abraham that with Ishmael that created the Bakkah. Is it Bakkah referred to Makkah?
Yes. The old spelling is called Bakkah. The old spelling, and it changed to become Makkah. Yeah, chapter 84, verse number 6 in the book of Psalm that it mentioned. That is correct. Okay, so that is talk about the story is referring to Makkah. Yeah, and if you look at the historian, they all agree with it. Many of them agree with it. The only thing is because of Islam, a lot of Christians, they will do a different interpretation. Okay, so to show in such a way that they got nothing to do with Islam, got nothing to do with Makkah. Yeah, so it's just like the story about all the prophet in the Bible, the major prophet in the Bible, similar to Islam. It's referring to Islamic same prophet. The only thing in the story in the Bible, there are many stories that is unacceptable in the sight of Islam because it goes against the ethics and the moral. Okay, for example, they talk about Prophet Luke alayhi salam. Okay, in the Bible, he committed incest with his 2 daughters. In Islam, we can't accept such a story. There's no such thing that the Prophet will commit incest. And you look at Judah. Okay, Judah have affair with her daughter-in-law. How we can't accept that? Dawud alayhi salam, he commits zina with his army's wife, and he killed his army later on. And Sulaiman alayhi salam in the Bible, toward the end of his life, he worshipped goddess. But even though we have some message which is similar, but in general, if you look carefully into it, it's a huge difference. Right, brother? Hope I answer your questions. I think the time is up for the sharing tonight, inshallah, and I'm so grateful that I would like to thank the organizer for inviting me to share a few words, and I hope that when we have opportunity in the future, we can, if you are interested to do some training, some courses and so on, you can try. We can try to organize. You can start with half a day, even 1 day or 2 days, no problem. Okay, just yeah, if you are interested. Now, before I end, just tell you what we are doing right now. Okay, I'm from IDT, Interactive Dakwah and Tarbiyah Association. It's an NGO. Our main focus is to train Da'i, to train the reverts. And in Malaysia, we are Islamic country. We have a lot of places that you can learn Islam. We have Sekolah Pondok, we have Sekolah Tafiz, we have College Islam, we have this is a College Islam, right? Now we have University Islam and so on. But do you realize that we are lacking of something? We do not have a college or university focus on training Da'i. Focus on training a batch of Da'is that be able to go out and to deliver the message. But in Christianity, in Christian world in Malaysia, they have many missionary school. We don't even have one in Malaysia. Alhamdulillah, in my NGO, IDT, Interactive Dawah and Tarbiyah, we already set up a missionary school actually, but we name it as Dakwah Academy International. Da'i. Go back to the word Da'i. Dakwah Academy International. Our job is to focus on training the Malaysian Muslim and also 11 countries, Southeast Asia. Train them batch by batch, and hopefully after training them, we will send them back to their country. Some of them, we will even recruit them to pay them salary so that they can do da'wah full time. Because Southeast Asia, we have many country that is not Islamic country. They have no support. They don't have Jabatan Agama Islamic department. They don't have zakat, and they don't have classes. So they need support. If Malaysia, we don't give this such a support to them, who else? So we started our Dakwah Academy International, and these brothers here, this group of brothers, these are all from Philippines. They are our first batch students. So we give training to them, and inshallah make dua that all of them go, once they complete the training, they go back to Philippines, they will do da'wah full time. So, and lastly, before I end, I know that you're students. We bought a building, 3-story building in Wangsa Maju. We are doing renovation right now, and then we are looking for some Muslim that would like to invest for saham akhirat. For those who want to contribute for this da'wah, want to be part of it, you are welcome. Okay, you can contact my officer after the salat, and also can help to spread the message that invite your family members to invest for saham akhirat, inshallah. Okay, we have brochure outside, you can take it. Lastly, you can look at my book, some of my book that are very suitable for you to do da'wah, and for you to study first, and you can use it to do da'wah to the non-Muslim. So that's all for my sharing today. Inshallah, if we have rezeki, I'll meet you some other time. I'll meet you soon, inshallah. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum.